Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 84th episode of Book of Hours, our first YouTube playthrough, playing as the artist and getting ready to get our first level 9 skill. I know it's been a long video, long series, and we really haven't fully maxed out an area of Hush House yet, but I feel like with the relatively small number of commitments to the Tree of Wisdoms, we've actually still made some decent progress here, but the real progress we're going to want to see is to actually get that top level before too long. So let's jump straight into it, especially because that might mean we can cross over into winter and see the tree outside of Reverend Timothy's house before too long. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? Mr. Kill, Ryan Spry, doesn't mind stopping for a gossip. So we are basically stuck waiting for the various sorry. Oh, actually, there is one thing I can. Oh, we're already restoring it. Yeah, at this point, we're basically just waiting for the various recipes to finish. We're still early in the day, so I'm not too worried about that. But I do need to. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? I do need to wait for the recipes to finish, and then if I can, it would be nice to restore the Earth sign by reading Wrapped in the King or something related. And then I'm curious. I think the chimeric larva is probably going to. I think it's probably going to want food. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. I'll focus on the replacement. What you grabbed in the king? That's just to get the earth sign back. But yeah, I think the chimeric larva may want, food. So twitching voraciously. Is the way to the wood, or perhaps the wood is not a suitable place for a librarian. So I'm not too fussed about the fact that I gave up something to make that happen, because in the end we were looking for the moth. And there aren't, basically in terms of things that I could have put in place at the time, there's really not that much to go on. So yes, it does mean that I'm going to be giving up some food, and that's fine. We already got some food for that very purpose. We don't have that much to do for the rest of the day, so I'll work with what I've got there. It could have been a little bit more efficient, but it's not. Again, I say this a lot, but Book of Hours is really not one of these games where you want to get obsessed with efficiency. There are benefits to efficiency because it means that you can get much further than you expect in the house. And I do tend to notice that this aligns quite well with the sorts of things that people think might be errors in the game. So it's still the case where a lot of people say, I'm sorry to keep griping about this, but it's very common for people to say, oh, the game's soft locked. I'm like, well, either you misunderstand what soft lock means, or you underestimate what Weather Factory can do, right? Like the game has been tested. So far as I can tell, the only way you can actually prevent yourself from getting to the end of the game is by throwing away your journal. And the game very specifically warns you against that, right? So the one case where you can in fact lock yourself out of ending the game is documented in the game. Everything else is difficult, but it's not. You are not locked out just because you find a puzzle difficult. Is the thing I want to say, but I realize is unkind and unhelpful. Right? I love the fact that this game is as popular as it is, and getting particularly smug about the fact that I had the benefit of having played Cultist Simulator before is really not the way I would want to be introduced to a game like this. So as frustrated as I get with the with the terms being used. I also, it's helpful to kind of go back and remember who I was when I first played this game. It also just occurred to me that I still don't have an impulse yet, so I should pick that up before the day is over. So I shouldn't have read Wrapped in the King what I did, but that's fine. We'll still be able to get it. Anyway, sorry, I was rambling on about the popularity of the game, and I forgot. Oh yeah. So, but it's like the thing that I always draw out of that is not so much the meh, 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 these people are using the wrong terms. It's actually just this idea of where are the points where people are saying that, right? Because if for me, a it's not a minor thing to find out where people are struggling the most. I obviously do this particular playthrough as a player of the game, but I am also conscious of the fact that people do watch these videos to learn a little bit about the game. Whether or not they're going to go like 80 videos deep to find out how to solve particular things, I don't know. If you are one of those people, welcome, and thank you for watching. But the fact of the matter is that it is helpful if you are interested in making videos about a game like this. It's nice to know where people are having difficulty, because those are opportunities to help. Those are opportunities to make videos about things or maybe clarify. So the reason why I'm taking the time to talk about this is that looking at these points where you think that it's impossible to do something. So for instance, if I take a look at the Ravaged Cellar and I say, like a really common one that's come up in the comments is, why aren't you hiring any of the special workers? The answer for this is just, at the moment, I haven't really needed them. And then, of course, you can turn around and say, well, what do you mean you haven't needed them? Like, can you get to the Ravaged Cellar on your own right now? And this is just, a different definition of need, right? I don't need to get to the Ravaged Cellar because I have, at minimum, 2 books that I should be able to read without any trouble. And then we've got all of these, up above. It looks like I'm just 1 moon away from being able to get a Wormwood Dream, which would enable Mr. Kill to open that on his own. And then we have other locations that I could potentially work on as well. So all of these seem to be perfectly reasonable ways to spend my time. And so, with that in mind, given the fact that I am potentially committing an element of the soul and money to get a certain type of visitor, it just happens to be a little bit more convenient for me to do things that are a bit more certain. So will I take advantage of those people? Absolutely. But given that I've already used them in another playthrough, it's also kind of interesting to me to see how far I can go with the current set of things that I have. So the fact that there's a lot of different things that I can do in Hush House is already quite interesting. But again, it comes back to that basic idea, right, where if you feel like you're lost, and again, if the game has locked you out of an ending or something like that, it's a really great opportunity to take stock of what you have and maybe expand your ideas about what's possible in the game, because there have been a few times where I really feel like, okay, now I'm going to have to, break the seal and hire someone now or something like that. It turns out that no, actually I can read this book, or I can do this weird little thing, and it turns out that I'm able to get another old moment. So perfect example of this, remember back in spring of this particular year, I was looking for the Lignum Vitae Blanc to be able to make an old moment. Well, not that much has changed, but now I actually know of a way that I can just put together a bunch of memories to be able to make an old moment, and that means I'll be able to bring in one of the miners in spring to, presumably wield their pick and open up something down in the caves. So these are always opportunities for learning, which is always kind of fun. But as always, we'll focus on the task at hand, which is to level up Edict's Liminal. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, so it is an impulse that we need. We're currently reading a book to get the... we're reading a book to get the Earth Sign. I think I'm going to keep the Whist in my back pocket, and then I'll restore another element of the soul for basically just working the Sweet Bones. The other thing I suppose I could do is try to carry over a memory into the next day, but what memory would I want to carry over? Could be an old moment, could be a name day riddle, but it's maybe not so clear which one I would want. So I think I'll just leave that aside. There are definitely other things I could do with the day. Actually, maybe we'll just take anything that we see that's available down below here. It's not like we don't have a selection. Wrapped in the King detailed accounts of secret bacchanals and ecstatic dances observed in the necropolises and graveyards in southern Europe, in Egypt, and in Anatolia. The author is a self-confessed ghoul, an eater of buried flesh. He claims to have witnessed the dances while at his feasting. The dances draw from the traditions of the mysteries of the cults of Isis and Sybil, but include both symbolic and literal flayings, and the human heart is always central in the rites. The author punctuates his accounts with queasily sensuous descriptions of his own interrupted feasts. At these greater feasts, a black pig is always crowned as king before its slaying. On this occasion, its heart was weighed in the balance against a knot of feathers, and its skin became a cape for the officiant. Its flesh was left for the crows, but I must confess my interest was not in the carcass, but in the perfumed flesh of the milliner laid fresh in the earth. And better now. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep this in my back pocket just so I have the option to get an impulse. That'll be when we hit the "Hey dummy, get your stuff done" bells and birds sound. If we get an impulse from Mr. Kill, that's fine. That just means that the whist and the core can be used to make some money. There's the impulse. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? So, the moment we have been waiting for, and at the last possible moment, Edict's Liminal, the Trist is the effort, Fog, Secret Threshold, Pattern, Salt, Stolen Secret, Name Day Riddle, Old Moment, and the Impulse. There's always more to learn. Improve the skill to level 9. And that just means that I'll use the whist and the core to make some money. Unless I feel like I have better use for the whist, but honestly I don't think that's... We're definitely not turning Mr... Well, okay, just for the sake of argument, right, I would have... I think it's 30 seconds for each step. So right now he's got 2 winter. We could bring that up to 6 with the with Solomon's preparation. We could bring that up to 8 with the whist. We could even try and bring that up to 10 with one of the standard memories. But unfortunately, we need 13, so we'd still be quite short. I guess we have the Pale Marrow as a kind of an outside option, but yeah, it just seems to me like there are too many things that can go wrong with that. So we're just gonna keep talking with Mr. Kill. Mr. Kill, Ryan Spry doesn't mind stopping for a gossip. And actually, it occurred to me that I don't even need to worry about making the money. I can use the core to talk with the chimeric larva, and we'll feed it and make it happy again. We could actually use the whist for that too, but I'm already talking with Mr. Kill. Freeze up the space for the vegetables or pears, or we'll probably feed it the pears. The skill is now level 9. Its power aspects have also increased. The precepts of elimination and division... Let's try that again. The precepts of elimination and division established by the enigmatic conclave of hours, sometimes called the Chancel. And a stolen secret. Okay, well we get... it's the recycling program. Thank you, Mr. Kill. So, let's... have a wintry chat with the chimeric larva. Calm down. Feed the beastie. Satisfy this creature's appetite. Food will make a hungry beast or a wild one cooperative. And then we'll just turn that core around into some money. We kind of know the stolen secret. Well, I mean, I'm indifferent, but the stolen secret's probably not a bad one for me to keep in my inventory, given its association with Moon. And that is something that, in theory, I would be able to use with Edict's Marshal. So there's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. Yeah, that leaves us fairly well positioned for the next season. If there's anything I want to buy from Cater and Hero, I suppose now would be the time to do it. But honestly, I think we're probably looking for the other order form. Was it TRN? It's the people who give us the drinking cocoa. They might offer us Strathcoyne's whiskey, which, if they do, that would make me very happy. A full belly makes a helpful friend. Chimeric larva approaching the chrysalids crossroads. So I'd say that's a good day's work. We accomplished everything that we want. Well, sorry, short of the Wormwood Dream, which was my mistake. But short of that, I think we accomplished everything we were looking to do today, and we'll begin the next season fresh. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done, and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Things might get interesting if we wind up in Numa. I guess I'll worry about that eventuality if it comes. But for now, I'm just going to say I'm happy where we are. We'll see what the weather is tomorrow, and then we can decide what our next few tasks will be. One big thing too is that with winter, that can bring snow, and snow can mean either access to winter texts I wouldn't normally be able to access, or potentially access to the Ravaged Cellar through even greater bonus to Mr. Kill. Alright, daybreak, memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. Do we have Christmas decorations up? We do. Alright. So, this is a slightly belated mention of the Christmas item, and I'm sure a lot of you already own this game and have seen this, but this is something that Weather Factory did. Now, I don't know what will happen in the new year. I believe you get these items if you log in December, but I suspect winter will go back to being normal in the normal months. Now, I'm sure you can probably like change your timer on your PC or whatever. But one of the things that they did, for those of you who might be coming to this game fresh or may not be aware of this, but during the month of December, they had an advent calendar. Weather Factory, the designers of this game, developers of this game, had an advent calendar. And for 25 days, they announced both in-game and real-world sort of gifts. So in some cases, these would be discounts on physical products, like the Lady Afterwards, the tabletop experience that they've put together. And some, it would be announcements. So this is how they announced the first DLC, The House of Light, which I'm very much looking forward to. The soundtrack was announced. So obviously the soundtrack is already part of the game, but sort of it's properly mixed and ready for listening. So you can hear that on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Music, and of course you can buy that on Steam as a separate DLC as well. I will note, for those of you that have the Perpetual Edition, I believe, my guess here is that there's royalties that go to Mickey Mar Productions, the creators of the soundtrack, and this is why this is not included as part of the Perpetual Edition, but that House of Light will be part of the Perpetual Edition, so just in case there's any confusion there. And lots of physical products that were announced for 2024. So there's a Lucid Tarot coloring book. There will be some beautiful journals. I am probably going to wind up spending too much money on the Etsy store. But yeah, there's some neat stuff that was announced there. But The in-game rewards were a bunch of really interesting ones. So we've got rose pearls, we've got an awakened feather, we've got moly, January sanguinary, a cronsicord, which we haven't seen in this playthrough yet, a flushed mommet, a deer day lens, canned ham, good for the cat, mackerel, and an incastum terminale oozult. So I think my answer here, I think we're just going to load up on the gifts from the tree. But I'm going to need to find a place to put all the other things. So we'll put Eigengrau. Put it on the shelf there. It's Wild Viper and the... There we go. So time to unwrap all of the gifts. So I used to have something of a organization system, but it's getting harder to put everything in its place. Certain places where certain items just feel appropriate. This is a bit of a special plant, but right now I'm running out of space for all the flowers and such. So, all right, the sea glass, smooth as an egg. I should really read all those descriptions again. I'll try and do that again. So, smooth as an egg, frosted like a winter window. A flushed mommet, a crimson-stained little cloth doll with merry button eyes and a frill of twitching ribbons. Deer Day Lens, a fiendishly simple and wretchedly fragile optical device. Canned ham, the taste will remain reliably unchanged for many years to come, which is, in some respects, an advantage. Nope. Ambergris chunk. Never, never, never call it whale vomit. Let's see if I can read the items that I left behind. So, rose pearls, surprisingly common in these waters. January sanguinary, also called Sanguis sultandus, or by the ignorantly superstitious, the true blood of Saint Januarius. We could put the sea glass with the other oh, maybe we can't. I know I've got... And I've got space for the sand, because we use that to make some ichor auroral. Moly the gods call it, and it is hard for mortal men to dig, but with the gods all things are possible. Alright, I think I'm going to have to completely rearrange the pantry at this point, so this is going to be the ham shelf. We've got too much ham at this point, but nice problem to have. Let's find another place for the honey at this point. Oh, we're close. There's room for compromises. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit the other mackerel on that shelf, though. Okay. And finally, oh, more mackerel. Eat it while it's fresh or keep it while it's salted. And Uzalt, the ink in which the first history was recorded by the unwise mortal. Uzalt is the bright yellow gold of lantern. Light lingers on it for a little while, even in the dark. Gold is not needed to mix Uzalt, but amber is. Unobtrusive shrines to Uzalt could sometimes be found in the churches of the unconquered sun. Use an Encastum ink with your journal to make determinations and record histories. If the hours listen, the world changes, which is a little bit of a hint, or maybe more than little, but this is definitely an indicator in terms of where the game is going. So I think the sharp-eyed among you who are still sticking around may have noticed that there are a few special items that I've sort of left untouched or otherwise uncommented on. And it's mostly just because it's nice to just unveil certain things as time goes by. This is one of these cases where I think it's helpful to do this. So one useful question that comes up rather frequently, and it's easy to see why, is like, what's the point of this game? So some people have asked, particularly on my Twitch playthrough, because I've just been stalling out the ending for so long, is this something like SimCity where there's no defined ending, you just kind of keep exploring the house until you get tired of it, or is there a clear end? There is definitely an end to this game. In fact, there are many ends to this game. There's over 100 of them. But it's a kind of a question a little bit like Cultist Simulator, right? You can, if you want, Cultist Simulator is straightforward to win once you get the basics down, right? You can just sort of declare a perfectly ordinary, mundane existence. I guess ordinary and mundane kind of, you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, you can enjoy a perfectly normal existence, give up on your strange occult habits, and be done with it. But there might be something a little bit deeper that you want to do, and that will very often involve quite a bit more effort in order to sort of achieve a particular goal. So in this case here, what you've seen by the description of the Encastum Terminale, it starts giving you a bit of a suggestion in terms of where this game might be going, and that is specifically related to making a recommendation in terms of sort of the shape, I shouldn't say the shape of the histories, but there is something very special about the role of the librarian. And if you are interested in the idea of the 5 histories of the setting, it deals with that. There's some really neat ideas present in the game in terms of the role that the librarian takes and what some of that might mean. Sorry, I'm not being very clear, but the hail is a bit of a special case here, so this might be something that's better for me to deal with on Monday, but let's just take a minute to think this through. So I think the fisherman only gets a little bit of winter. So assistance from a fisherman. Yeah, the fisherman will offer moon and a little sky. So I don't know why I said winter. So we can technically get the same from Mr. Kill, but let's take a minute and game this out. So, hail, 3 sky. So fisherman or Mr. Kill. So we have 1 sky to start with. And we can get 1 from the Faust. And then 1 from the Astrolabe. I believe we've read a book which might suggest that we could do better in terms of tools, but we got to think about what we currently have access to right now. So between elements of the soul that I can provide as well as the weather, that's 1, 4, 5, 6. So then we turn our attention to drinks and related. So we're not completely abandoned in terms of drinks. So there is 1 tea. Sky food seems like a bit of a stretch, though. I mean, we'll check the pantry, but I'm not optimistic. Yep. So... if I add the Mazarine Fife, we're good. Furs and Feathers 1? That's never happening. Actually, to be honest, I'm really overthinking this too. Because hail's not that special in the grand scheme of things. I can make a thunderstorm whenever I want. That would bring us up to 8, incidentally, so we're still 1 short, but... okay. So I think the natural step now would just be to see what we can... So I don't think there's anything we can do with our books. We do have the edge. Yeah, Sevenfold Slaying of the Seven Coiled. I'd love to pretend that I'm able to actually read this book, but I think if we take a look at my edge... That's better than I thought. Sickle and Eclipse gives us 8 with the hail. Okay, I mean, if I really want to go for it, I don't think the Fusine helps. But if I really want to, like, swing for the fences on this one, what we do is we take the hail for the 3. We can combine that with the Arab, which would give us 5. So then we add Sickle and Eclipse. So that brings us up to 10. And then we add the Perniculate. And you know what? I'm actually not... I don't hate this. I actually think this is probably a good idea. So we're going to do it. Especially because I actually think this is a cool little bit of lore. So maybe just verify that Sickle and Eclipse is the best I can throw at this. Looks like it is. Before I go too far, I am going to just sneak a peek at what Edict's Marshal can do. I don't think we're going to do better than a Libidic Tincture, but I'd kind of kick myself if I could take a look at... I don't think we have any relevant memories. Yeah. We are 1 short. Well, okay, actually that's not that hard. So we do what we're going to do already. So Arab, Hail, Edict's Marshal, Verniculate. Oh, I would need to add the leaf. Okay, well it turns out that I can actually make this very same item. Okay, we're not worried about that. We are going to bring in Sickle and Eclipse. So now we add the Sevenfold Slaying of the Seven Coiled. We add Fusine. You're kidding me. Where did I go wrong? I'm sure probably I just thought it was 14 instead of 16. Okay. I'm not opposed to still trying this. Excuse me. But I'm definitely going to want to bring... I'm going to want to bring another memory. So the idea here is going to be that I will bring in some kind of two-edge memory. I'll probably bring in like Contradiction or something like that. And then we'll throw that at the Sevenfold Slaying of the Seven Coiled, hoping that we either get Weather or Memory, and if we don't, then I'm just going to be very, very sad. Rose, I don't think we have much. Secret colors, if I were to somehow work out that moon, that moon side of things, be happy. Actually, there is one other thing that I could try with the watchworms. Okay, that needs winter, knock. Keeper skin needs nectar. Conic theoplasma needs heart. It's apparently nothing to get rid of with edge. Fair enough. Yeah, so either I need to find... Actually, you know what? I'm going to try and lock myself into a choice for tomorrow. So let's use our vet at the vagabond desk. I'm pretty sure contradiction... Pretty sure contradiction gives me 2, but I'm actually feeling a little nervous about it now. And I don't see why, because I have tons of other elements of the soul. But yeah, we'll read As the Sun His Course. Okay, so not the most exciting thing for me to work with. I think my follow-up will be... We'll bring in Mrs. Kill. We may wind up talking with somebody over the course of the... well, we may wind up talking with someone when they visit the house. But I think this is... You've kind of gotten a bit of a sketch of what Monday's episode is going to look like. So what we're likely going to do is try to read As the Sun His Course using the perniculate. Now, this is one of the riskier ones that I've tried to do for the simple reason that if I don't get the memory, then I lose the perniculate, you know, and that is a fairly sturdy ink. So as an example, Cucurbit Prisoner Records, if I try to read that, I could bring 4 from Coil and Chasm. I think that's the best scale that I've got. So 4 for Coil and Chasm, 4 from the perniculate. We can muster... Actually 4. Yeah, so we already have the 12 there, just using the old moment. So yeah, I mean, there's a, and it's not just the fact that it's an extra scale. It's not just the fact it's an extra scale look, but it is it's one that tells us more about the Cucurbit, which we've currently been exploring. But that said, I still want to see. I still want to see if we can make something work with Sevenfold Slaying of the Seven Coiled. Hailstorm seems like a good time to do that, so I'm gonna stick to my guns. Depending on what the weather gives us in future days, we may or may not prioritize Opus Magnum Corellium or Second Glory or Scar in the Sky, or, you know, we've got plenty of books to read. This is kind of the main lesson that we're getting out of that. But I feel like the Hailstorm is a fairly unique opportunity for us to work with. It's a unique opportunity for us to work with something a little stronger. I might actually also try and restore my my Arab after I get Mrs. Kill back, and that's just so that I can have another opportunity to try and throw something at the problem when we're reading the book. But again, all of that will be dealt with next week. Thank you everybody for watching, and again, thank you for watching in the new year. I obviously like being able to play this game for people, and it is always rewarding to see the comments or just to, you know, see the engagement in other forms. And my intention very much is to continue doing this for another year, and even though I've got the new job to look forward to, I don't think I'm falling off the edge of the world. I think I will still be able to find time between the two of them. And it's just a nice little opportunity for me to mark another occasion, mark the occasion, say thank you, and look forward to another year of activity. So I will also respect your time by wrapping up before we hit 10 minutes over. So thank you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.